Ladies, I am so honored to be with you. The courage that you have given me because of your expertise, I cannot put into words. I have no idea what I'm doing. And timing is everything. We were just talking about it off camera. To Monica's point, the time is now. I don't think we understand all the things that now means and where it all goes and how it develops. But again, I have gone 20 years without having a website or caring, and now is the time. I just want you to rest with the fact that I probably would have gone another few years had we have gotten that, have brought us together. Keep that in mind. Hardest question of the day for each of you. Who is Nicole?
Are you asking me first?
Yes.
Oh, I'm a crier, so you shouldn't ask the question.
I'm with you. We'll get tissues.
I am a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a Christian. I'm a believer in all things are meant to be for the sake of the good. I am the director of accounts at mock5, and it is one of the best things in my life. Love my job, love my coworkers.
Me too.
And I am thrilled to be a part of this mission because it means a lot to me, and I know it's going to be amazing.
Who is Gretchen?
I am also a mom and a lover of all things good. I started my career in design right out of college, which was a long time ago. And I worked a lot in healthcare and education from an agency perspective. And then I started my family. You know, we lived in the suburbs of Philadelphia. I had the opportunity to give back to my community by volunteering on our local school board for 12 years. Several years of that, I was actually the board president. And during that time, I found how much you can actually impact your community by being in your community and doing things. We as the board, we're really the protector of a lot of taxpayer money, making sure that that money got to educating the students. That's what it was. So I'm doing the creative director thing, I'm doing the community stuff, and now with this opportunity, I feel like I'm bringing it all together, you know. There's so much noise out there. Everything feels impossible. But when you really focus down and look at the impact you can make on your community with the right resources and talent, that's what we really need to focus on.
Amen. Amen. Who is Monica?
First, Monica wants to say that Nicole is my champion, right? She loves me. I don't know why.
Greatest last name ever.
Loves me so much.
Biggest fan of Monica.
And she makes me want to be better all the time and makes me want to make her proud of me.
You do. You do.
And Gretchen is my challenger. She is so committed to equity, to openness, to accessibility, and she holds me accountable, and she just really, I think we have a really great partnership in that way. It's just always been a lot of fun like that. So
That's why we've been together for 11 years, 12 years.
So Monica is a little bit lazy, sometimes slow to get it, but I'm wildly passionate about life, about the people I love, about my dogs. And I think the older I get, the more connected I feel to the world, and the more I realize there's so much more to do and so much more to give. And I'm just really excited to be here. I ride wherever I'm driving, whenever I'm driving. When I go past the cemetery, I say hello or good morning or good evening to whoever's out there. And I tell them, I'm here. I'm going to keep it going. You can't, so I will. So That's what I'm doing. That's
perfect. We have 3 levels I'd like to cover. There's going to be a part 2 and a part 30. Chris and his team have been fantastic to work with. I think we found a home for Build It Ourselves, the initiative in which we co-developed. I want to definitely cover Build It Ourselves, and it is an extension of our conversation a few minutes ago. I'm going to talk about mock5 and its background, but I actually think mock5 and its background is nested in emme. What is emme?
Yes, I would say for sure. Do you want to talk about what you think emme is first?
Yes. So
Or what emme, I should say, what emme is to you.
for the last 11 years, I've been working with mock5. And during that time, we really found our passion for health equity. I'm passionate about health literacy. You need to get the right materials to the right people in a way that they can understand. And that has really become, I guess, the foundation of everything that we do. But we also do a lot of work in pharmaceuticals. So there is a lot more layers to being able to make that happen. There's the regulatory piece, there's inefficiencies, there's data scattered everywhere. And for the last couple years, we've been working more and more in strategy with our clients. We kept shaking our head thinking, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. And then, you know, with the development of AI and the ability to really just crunch the data very, very quickly,
Yeah.
that's where the idea for emme was born.
Nicole?
To me, emme is a solution to basically everything that Gretchen just touched on. It is our way to help those in need get, for people, providers to get to people what they need flawlessly and seamlessly. And I love that it's people powered. It's not, you know, we're behind it. We're the minds behind it. AI is the tool we're using to get what we need. And, you know, I just love that it's going to make for efficiency in the pharmaceutical industry. There's so many benefits, and it's the future. And from the minute Monica started talking about it, we all just felt like this is the future of mock5 is emme.
Yeah. And I think, you know, we see an awful lot of profits over people, right? And I don't think there's any change coming to that anytime soon. So you can either say that it's just the way it is, and there's nothing we can do about it. And I feel like we've been climbing that hill for a long time now. And there have been many times, I think, when we've thought like, that's it, like there's just no chance we can do that. Or you can say, the tools are here, right? The tools are here now. There are a lot of people capitalizing on it, but maybe there's an opportunity to say, hey, you can still have your profits and we can prioritize people. And I think with emme, it's a way to do that. It's a way to bring them front and center. It's a way to bring health outcomes, unmet need, health equity, right to the forefront without it being all touchy-feely. It can still be profit related. You can still focus on the money, the revenue you're going to make, and make a difference and reach the people who need it.
When I think about food, I think about the energy and the water nexus. Food and drug to me are interchangeable. You had said on a call a couple weeks ago, you had brought the emme to us kind of aside, but maybe as an extension of the Build It Ourselves because of our background. And I've spent a good number of years, 5+ years in drug development. And I always had the question of this is just taking too long and it's costing too much money. Yeah. And my tenure, life sciences process, and it was in oncology. And so when I looked at how delicate the balance is to get something to work and the cost and those who are responsible for bringing the money back to the life sciences organizations to get new drugs through the process, I always thought that this is insanely expensive, and any one thing could be disruptive to the whole thing and therefore more cost and more time. Yep. And so when you first presented emme, I saw it immediately because I had been thinking about it for a long time, not in this form where AI is a tool, because although our organizations have been involved with AI and data and pattern analysis and pattern discovery for a long time, we just didn't think about the application this way. Tell me how emme impacts early candidate small molecules and the companies that support them, all the way to the big brands that are on the back of the bottle and the label that you never read.
Yeah. So at its heart, emme is a commercialization platform, right? Across that whole spectrum. And for a lot of people, that means, oh, that's like marketing, advertising, right? But really what it is the pursuit to approve, to distribute and disseminate, right? So getting it to a sellable, marketable point is the point, right? But a lot of times what happens is you have innovation and you have discovery up front. Sometimes that comes from a loss, from someone's own personal health journey that they're fighting to solve. We're working actually right now with a startup. It's early phase 1, and both of the lead scientists on the product lost their parents to the same cancer. So this is their motivation. That's their focus, as it should be. And they're scientists, they're chemists, they're biologists, and they're all working to solve this issue. But what they're not thinking about is commercialization.
Sure.
They're not thinking about market access. They're not thinking about the unmet need. And I mean that from the medical unmet need. So how does it compare to other treatments available specific to certain biomarkers or comorbidities or co-indications, right? Like these are things that really need to be considered up front because they're the deal breakers. People can invest 5, 7, 10, 15 years in a product, millions and millions and millions of dollars, to get to that one spot at the end and say, we've done all of these clinical trials and they're totally irrelevant. But if we can give that information up front and have it be live, have it be modeling information that can change and be impacted by what's really happening in the world, give them insights, even just collecting the amount of information that they have to deal with, because a lot of times these are ragtag teams that have 3, 4 people that are working on them. They might have investors, but those investors are giving money. They're not necessarily giving support and time and energy, right? Or resources like that. It's really, here's the money, give me a profit, right? So if we can get that to them up front and say, hey, while you're doing this, everything is aligning in this system in the background, right? We're looking at what's changing in the future, what's coming in, what if we know that there's a new indication or a new product that is just applying for any kind of regulatory, inroad, then they're out there, right? They're coming 10, 12 years maybe, but they're there. And you can think about what they're doing out there. If there's a product that's coming into market that may be competition of yours, it might not necessarily cover all of the unmet need. So if we can look at who they're talking to, why they're talking to those individuals, and you can have that information at your fingertips. And then the other piece of it is thinking about that patient journey. So for example, this couple this partnership that is working on this new product, this is advanced stage melanoma that they're thinking about. And so they say there are this many patients in this spectrum that we could actually access. And so that's really the amount of money we stand to be able to make off of this product. But what we really need to consider is that in advanced stage melanoma, those individuals, those patients, they've given up. This is 700, 800, 900 days of therapy. And they really just want to have their last days with their loved ones. They don't want to be in bed. They want to be out in the world. They want to do whatever they can. My grandfather died of melanoma. I can remember the same, like he just wanted to be with everybody, and he had open sores and he would just wrap it up and say, it's okay. I can take you with one hand behind my back. It's good. Even if it's my good one. But they don't want that. They don't. So you have to consider that up front. You can't go out into the world and say, yeah, big pharma, buy me because this is going to make you all this money. Because what's going to happen is at the time when you're ready to be acquired, they're going to say, yeah, no.
The market's not there.
It's about 20% of, and it's not worth our time and energy. Right? I think the times are changing a lot. Small and mid-sized pharma companies are much more impactful now and much more engaged in new products and seeing it through the life of the product. So I feel like what we're doing up front is really important, because if 90% of these products fail, and we can't stop them from failing, but if we can reduce that to 85%, the billions of dollars of money that's funneled into that would be incredible. More importantly, if we can stop it, we can have them fail faster instead of getting to 7 or 8 years. But maybe they can know after 18 months it's not the one. Maybe they can pivot. Maybe you're right. There's just a lot more opportunity to find a solution that does work, or to focus their efforts on something that really will have a meaningful outcome.
Agreed. When I think of Emmy, as we've been talking to different investors to pair with you, and some of the folks, they get it immediately. I think about the thing that brought us all together, and that was Health and Human Services, an event they put on in 2024, which basically they had a retiree or a transfer from Department of Defense, and they were taking a defense-oriented approach to Health and Human Services, the 13 or 15 or however many are left institutions that are underneath it, from the NSF to the NIH to CDC and et cetera. I think about the daunting task, and we talked about it a lot. How do you overhaul this whole thing with all these systemic issues, with all these different entanglements with universities and other institutes that probably believe they're performing, but in the context of what you just said, really aren't performing, and they aren't stimulating advanced manufacturing. There are a number of companies that are out there that would be interested in being part of the supply chain for that small market, but their future is largely dependent on someone buying them who already has that. But we're in a place where we have to start manufacturing over, and things scale down now. So we shouldn't discount a 20% market or a population of 20,000 patients if it generally will prove out in health outcomes. How do we take an intelligence product like Emmy with a broad continuum of stakeholders that it serves and really communicate the health outcomes? What do we tell patients the result is going to be for them?
Well, I think there's a lot to it. Do you want to start? Do you want me to go?
You can go, because that's a big question.
It is a big question. I think transparency is the first piece of it. So just being able to understand what's happening, you can get a whole lot more individual than you could before. So for example, we were talking about menopause earlier, and we had done our initial use case on Emmy was for a global pharma company, and it was for a menopause product coming to market. And we wanted to look at individuals, cultures from the patient perspective who are normally excluded from those types of medical conversations, and then the prescribers who just don't, for whatever reason, whether it's cultural beliefs, personal beliefs, education, whatever, don't believe and don't prescribe, don't have conversations around menopause. And this was in the EU. And what we were able to do using AI was incredible, right? So instead of just saying, the typical way to go right now is like, oh, well, Hispanic women or Muslim women don't normally have these conversations. And so we'll just have all of these commercials and all of these campaigns with a Muslim woman in it. And that's what's going to do it, right? Which, it's meaningless. It's pandering.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the first thing I feel.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, man.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I think in a lot of ways, it puts it back on the patient to somehow be responsible for the fact that they're not engaged in their own needs, right? Whether it's because they don't have access or not, or understand it or not, or there's just a number of reasons that it could be, right? But with Emmy and with the use of AI, we were able to identify micro communities fast across the world. And to really understand, we're not going to go in there with this full blown, like, you need to have a menopause conversation. But we know there are a number of professional Muslim women in the UK who are in these organizations, like in Muslim Women UK, like membership organizations that are struggling with, like, oh my God, I'm having these sweats, but I'm trying to be this leader, and I'm getting up on a stage, and then I'm having support in this. And what they have right now is talking to each other about it, right? But what if there's some way that you could say, you don't have to be on something all the time. This isn't about, this isn't a personal judgment on you as a woman. This isn't you failing.
That's key.
You shouldn't feel embarrassed up here in front of everybody.
That's key.
This is a very natural thing, but there are also, you don't have to suffer through this. There are solutions for you, right? And we can find those unique communities instead of just putting this social media campaign out there with pictures of people who may or may not get it, right? Or again, just click off like, you don't look like me, just stop trying to. I mean, we've got some horror stories for you where
I bet.
yeah. Anyway, we could actually understand, okay, providers in this area, for example, there was a micro community in Arizona where there was just no women's health available, right? And especially for anyone over a certain age, right? And we were trying to figure out like, well, what would be the best approach in this area, right? If no one's prescribing and there are no, and it's a desert out there, it's a healthcare desert, what do we do? And we found that there were a handful of churches and community organizations that were much more involved and that there were really important influencers in those space, not influencers, in the YouTube,
traditional
Instagram,
sense.
way,
Yeah,
but in
yeah.
the like, hey, there's help for this.
Yeah.
You don't have to suffer through this. Come and talk to me. I can tell you what your options are. I can put you in touch with providers who can give you more information about this, right? That happened in minutes. In minutes.
This is the power of AI, right, Gretchen? You spoke to it a little bit earlier.
Yes.
This is the power of getting away from the model of your big pharma models some form of attachment through these campaigns, and it doesn't really work. It's not that sensitive,
Right?
Borderline, if not fully insulting. I find it interesting because AI can bring these things together, and then you couple this education piece. Tell me more about that.
So when Monica was talking, you heard her asking a lot of questions. So with Emme, it is people focused and it's always going to have a human in the loop. We're not just feeding it information and expecting this is what we need to do. We're modeling it after a flexible, flowing environment where as we're crunching data and looking at it, we're going to be asking Emme questions.
Yes.
Did you think of this? How about this? Is there
Training the
anything
AI.
right? Is there anything else we're missing? And that's where you get to these kind of micro targeted communities. Because you have to keep asking questions, you have to keep evaluating strategies. So it's not just a plug and play type of a thing.
Yeah.
And she is informed by us, right?
Of course.
I mean, and that's what I think that's a critical component. But I also think that we really think of her as an extension of our team as well, too.
That's
right?
the way I see it.
Because
the invisible sister.
it's gosh, she's got an attitude. That's a personality.
You know how I feel about that.
Emme, by the way, is spelled EMME.
Yes.
And that came from the equity machine made for everyone.
I saw in your presentation.
So that is that's like when we started thinking about it, it was like, why would we not have this be for everybody?
That's I don't want to be diminutive in any way, but I love this spin on equity, given where we are with the whole DEI, LMNOP, whatever it turns out to be. I love in this platform. Nicole, mock5 is an entrepreneurial group. It has a broad range of customers. Maybe I'm a hybrid customer/partner, right? But you have a broad range of customers, big pharma and little small businesses. It's very entrepreneurially spirited. You have a very intriguing way of tapping into that and latching onto that. You being responsible for the customer base, how does grow in a way where it becomes its own entrepreneurial thing, is owned by mock5 and its investors and future stakeholders, but you still satisfy the other small businesses? Because it's not necessarily a conflict to me because I am an ambassador of the entrepreneurial spirit, but this thing could grow fast. Yeah. And then there's still so many small businesses that are going to grow fast. What are your thoughts?
My background is marketing and public relations, and I feel like a lot of my job is going to be to align the credibility of Emme and our new ventures with mock5, which has an amazing reputation over the years. And I don't think it's going to be any problem because, as you can see, the brains behind it are, there's a plethora of intelligence behind this mission. I do think that it will be a challenge. I think our team will grow. I think that we've done a good job so far differentiating between the mock5 clients, which are, the small business, and emme is, I agree, it's going to take off. It's going to be powerful. And we've been working on emme for a while. So it's happened pretty quickly, but I think that we're getting ready. We're grounded and we know that we're going to grow quickly. And I just think that we have good leadership. We have a solid team, and we can take it on. We can make it happen, and we can keep our current clients going because we've had them for so long, and they know us and they trust us. And like I said, it's my job to build credibility for emme, and I'm ready for the ride.
I agree.
It's going to be big.
I agree. I asked that question because do so many things, and I think that is the basis of Build It Ourselves. You have managed a multitude of clients and you've gotten all types of communications and responses from them. But when you're an entrepreneur and you're a small business and money doesn't fall out of the sky, 99.9% of the time the answer is no. Heels are dug in. And when we have times like where we are now, where there's wood, we're in a state where the budget was frozen and the government was shut down, right? So hopefully that unlocks things, but it's going to unlock the front end of something different than it was. And that's American manufacturing and small businesses, it's jobs, it's the rebirth of small businesses, companies with less than 50 people, right? So I asked that question for a multitude of reasons. Love to hear from you, Monica, in terms of you're representing us
Yeah.
as the Crenshaw Institute of
I
Applied
came
Science.
loaded for bear on this one. I just want you to know.
There's two things. One more thing.
Yeah, let's
I
go.
say that because, as you know, as I alluded to at the onset, I put everything in your hands. And I've led our team
No pressure.
to give you got it though. I've led our team to give you anything you need when you need it. And so I look at what our institute is doing and the fact that we're going to go out to the public with this content and so much more as day zero.
Yeah.
And tell me how you've led us through this.
So there's a reason I was telling you this story a little while
I
ago
thought so.
about
I thought so. Segue.
emme, the McDonald's takeover in Brazil. And, we've been working on emme for the better part of a year now, building the prototype, getting it out of the world, socializing. We've starting our funding now, and had some unique experiences
That's one way to put it.
in that space. And I mentioned profits over people, and that sits with me a lot. I think about it a lot. And, watching this show the other night, I was thinking an awful lot about how do you get to be a part of this, right? And I was thinking about emme in particular, and we have a small cache of other pieces of other platforms we've been working on behind the scenes too. So as soon as we get this one out, we have a few that we would really like to get out as well right behind it. And at the same time, you're reading every day about how everyone's at this race to just make as much as they possibly can on this AI, wave. And we lived through the .com age, so we've seen it. We know what that is. It's much faster. It's much more profound, I think, than
New shiny thing.
But yeah. And I just kept saying to myself over and over again, access to everything, access to anyone, access to everything. What if we could say everyone has access to everything? Instead of this race to make as much money as we possibly can off of it now, we all want to we got bills to pay, right? And we want to do more than just pay our bills, right? Everyone wants to thrive. Everyone deserves to thrive. And it would be really great to figure out how to do that. But I think under the umbrella of Build It Ourselves, I'm confident that we can craft a go-to-market model that will do that. that will result in profits, but not spare accessibility.
Agreed.
Right. And I think we have to prioritize
Yes.
that. I feel like I was thinking about it. I don't know. We've had this conversation before growing up with nothing, right? And my mom, her name is Kathleen, but everyone calls her Feeny. Everyone who grew up with her always called her Feeny. And I don't know why, but her name has been in my head all morning. Feeny has been in my head. I've never called her that. I just call her Mom. But you know that. But Thanksgiving, it's coming up on Thanksgiving. We were pretty young. I think my dad, when I was like 3, I guess. He came back as a great dad. It's like
Good to clarify.
he regrets every minute of it, and he's gonna take it with him to his grave. I wish he could let it go, but he left. He was like 27 years old or something. It's crazy with 3 kids and whatever. Anyway, it was Thanksgiving. My mom's birthday is around Thanksgiving. My medium brother's birthday is Thanksgiving, and nothing. We had nothing, right? And she was just embarrassed and sad and scared. And she worked at the local hospital. And somebody took it upon themselves to make sure she went home with everything she needed to have a really great Thanksgiving, right? She has lived her life from that moment. So she still has nothing, but she gives every bit of nothing away whenever she can, right? And I feel like but she has a really great life. And we've been able to just create so much for ourselves, right? Not just love and community. We have nice homes. We have nice things too. I think we can do that with Emmy.
Yeah. Nicole almost got us all crying to start. So thanks a lot.
I was getting choked up with that story.
And I'm trying to hold it
I am
together
a
over here
crier.
with Monica. But, you thinking of the holidays and I'm a child of 2 addicts, and we went without certain things, like Christmases. Things didn't always go right.
Yeah.
And had to wait for tax refund checks or things like that. That happened to city kids. And the one thing that I have communicated throughout the development of today is I want people to see themselves in us.
Yeah.
As you know me, secret as to why there are 3 women sitting here. You mentioned our mothers. Okay, I'm going to hold it together. But where would we be without them? The sacrifices they made, the bumps and bruises that they took, we stand on their shoulders to reach for higher fruit. That feeling of reaching for higher fruit and bringing it back home at the microeconomic level is something that I've always felt with the Build It Ourselves platform we need to make contagious, because if we can't create jobs and we can't create those microeconomics whereby people who don't necessarily always have a pathway to post-secondary education and residential degree programs can be trained and receive credentials and show up to an employer on day 0 and add value and take that energy back. Whether it's an AI-driven company and it's manufacturing GPCs or computers, or going back to Rosie the Riveter, if it's just making shells of plastic or metal or casings or whatever the case may be, big products, advanced products, simple products, that has to become more and more contagious. And so that embodiment or Build It Ourselves embodying that is very important to me.
Yeah.
It's very important to me. And I look forward to seeing the small communities latch on to Emmy and it becoming that, for the lack of a better term, social network where they can be educated and feel like they belong and get the things that they need, even if it's help to get the thing that they need critically, whether it's a medicinal device or a drug or food. Because I think we would all admit food science has become life science, and it's all now interchangeable with life science and health outcomes. So I look forward to that. I also look forward to the product that you deliver for Chase, that it embodies Emmy and embodies Build It Ourselves, because like I said at the onset, I have no idea what I'm doing, but it feels good because of your leadership And I look forward to seeing it and seeing people's response to it, and it being alive and living, and always receiving feedback from not just all of us, but the world.
Yeah.
I think there's just there's so much noise. I think you spoke to it earlier,
Yes.
Gretchen. There's just so much noise that we lose the fact that we're not getting what we need. And the world is abundant. But for some reason, we've been messaged to and received, and some of us have digested some more than others, that there isn't enough. So we've been brainwashed with this scarcity feature. And I think that is make all the money, and we're not going to
Yeah.
finger point here,
Yeah.
but I think that is a tactic, and I think we can represent something that supersedes those tactics.
You know, we had this conversation when we first started talking about Build It Ourselves, that necessity is the mother of all invention, right? And I think one of the things that we've seen, especially as we've dug deeper into the life sciences space and in the fundraising space, right, is that there are a select few people who have the purse strings, and they're looking for a particular type of person to give to, and when they find inexperienced individuals, I can attest to this. You know, they want to rush in for the profits, right, and take all the glory. And I think what happens then is we have we have a pretty substantial part of the population who distrusts, and rightfully so, those communities, those banks, those institutions, right, and. So to ask them, hey, you got an idea, go to them and get some money for that. Number one, not even thinking it's possible. You know, there are many of us who don't even think we're deserving of that money. So to have the guts, the courage to go and ask for it is really, that's an obstacle all of itself, right? But I think with Build It Ourselves, there's this opportunity to say, this belongs to all of us.
Amen.
And it's something we can do for ourselves and for each other easily right now. And we were in the studio, this week talking about CIAST and Build It Ourselves, and who are the people we're talking to, right? And Krista, who's not here today, but we really had a great breakthrough around all of like the key contributors or key players, right? And so we looked at it from three levels. You have the challenger, right? You have the person who's coming with a problem or some need that needs to be fixed or thought about differently, or this idea that doesn't have to be like this, right? Isn't there a better way that we can do this, right? So the challenger can you can enter our community as a challenger.
I can just add one quickly. Aren't we better than this?
Yeah, absolutely, right? You can enter as a contributor. I have something I can give. I have money, I have time, I have energy, I have land, I have resources that can help with this challenge, with this particular challenge. Or you can come as a champion. I know who to put you in touch with. I know I can raise the volume around this. I can reach people. I can, and I believe that all of us at any given time are any one of those, maybe sometimes two or three at the same time. Right?
I think so.
So coming into that, I feel like if you're not sure, if you're anybody who's thinking about BIOS and you're not sure, or CIAST, and you're not sure where you belong in it, you have a problem, how do I solve this? Bring it to us, right? You want to give, you don't know what to give?
Yeah.
We can help you with that.
And I think that you are hitting on something that I think is again one of the reasons why we leave it in your capable hands and just serve whatever the needs are in terms of sharing what we think that you're asking, but there's no right answer. We don't have the answers. But we could work together to get closer to something that's more feasible and mutually beneficial, right? But you're hitting on something that I think is I think it's difficult for us, but I think it's difficult in general. What's the call to action? And we have a palette of calls to action, but the one you just hit on in terms of how do you enter the Build It Ourselves space and what we will do with what you bring, I think is the most critical feature of this website platform, because you have these donor advised funds and you have all these different things and there's so many hurdles and so many things. No, just come and be who you are. Bring what you have. We will work and figure it out using the entrepreneurial spirit, and we will likely find somewhere in our ecosystem to plug in something else to create more value through understanding. I don't know how we're going to say that, but ultimately, when I wake up every day, not having gone 20 years without a website, not really having needed anything more than holding pages, I'm looking forward to that.
We have some ideas.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
Yes.
I'm
Really
confident.
good ones.
Yes. I've seen some of them.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. I click on the Dropbox sometimes and I think what's going on. I don't know what I'm looking at sometimes. But alarm beats on me to look at this. Okay,
I'm sure.
I love all three of you tremendously. Thank you for everything that you're doing and continue to do. Any last words, Nicole?
We love you too. And thank you for having us. And I'm excited.
Gretchen?
I love you too, of course. And I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to come here today and be part of this, be able to do this. We're going to be able to make an impact. Yeah,
No
I
doubt.
agree.
it's coming.
I agree. Monica?
I think that we're facing a lot of divides right now, an awful lot of them. And I think that BIOS is not looking at fixing the symptoms. We're looking at a cure. And yeah, I'm excited to be a part of that.
Same. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And I love you too.